The sanctuary was decorated with flowers. Everyone was in their place. The groom and his groomsmen stood to the right of the altar, and the bridesmaids to the left. Everything was ready, but not everyone was ready. "Where is he, Mom? Why hasn't Dad come to give away his only daughter?" "I don't know, Teresa. Wait, I just got a message from him." The hope with which she opened the message quickly vanished. "What did he write, Mom?" "Unavoidable delay. Continue the wedding without me." "What? That's all he wrote? No explanation?" Number. "Darling, we have to go ahead with the wedding. Nicholas and I spent too much money for it all to go to waste." "But who will walk me down the aisle? It would be ridiculous to go alone. Wait, what about Gordon?" "You don't want people to know he's your biological father, do you? Well, if you don't mind everyone knowing he was your lover before he got you pregnant." "This isn't the time to argue. I'll ask your Uncle Frank." "Ugh, damn, I guess we have no choice." Nora entered the chapel and dragged Frank back to the dressing room. "Frank, you have to walk Teresa down the aisle. Nick can't do it." "What? Why me?" "Why not? We don't have time to argue. Go on. Go." Nora sat in the front row, and shortly after all the guests stood up, the bride and her Uncle Frank walked down the center aisle of the church. Frank stumbled a little over the question, "Who gives this woman in marriage?" Finally, he mumbled, "Her mother and my brother-in-law." The ceremony continued, and everyone wondered where Nick was. When it came time to exchange rings, a man walked down the aisle with several large folders under his arm. The hall fell silent. Stopping in front of Nora, he handed her one of the folders. "Nora Dexter, you are being served with a divorce suit on the grounds of marital infidelity. You are accused of a long-term extramarital affair." She was handed one of the envelopes. Nora stood in shock. The man walked back down the aisle and stopped halfway. He turned to the right and said, "Gordon Black, you are being served with the following claims: alienation of affection, 18 years of alimony, and the bill for your daughter's wedding expenses." Handing him the folders, the man left. Gordon's wife slapped him in the face and walked away. That was the end of the wedding. The guests began to disperse, throwing sarcastic remarks. After a while, only Nora and Gordon remained. Gordon joked, "I guess we don't have to worry about Nick finding out now." "Do you believe your wife will divorce you?" "Only if the sun rises tomorrow." "Do you need a place to stay?" "I definitely don't want to go home right now." "Well, you can come with me. Everyone knows about us anyway. I've got some good bourbon to get drunk on." They drove to Nora and Nick's house and found it surrounded by fire trucks. Gordon approached the fire chief. "Definitely arson. A large amount of accelerant was used, probably gasoline." Gordon returned to Nora. "Nick burned down the house. Let's go to a hotel. One where there won't be people who were at the wedding." "Good idea." Nora went to find a room for herself and Gordon. Her credit card was declined. Gordon gave them his, and it went through. Nora tried to call Nick about the card, but when she called, she heard, "The number you have dialed is not available." She sighed and said, "It's a total write-off." For obvious reasons, Gordon and Nora weren't in the mood for sex, and it was the only time in 20 years that they didn't have sex as soon as they closed the door to their hotel room. "So, Nora, what do we do?" "I need to go to the hotel business center and see if Nick withdrew all our money." She went and found that he had. "Gordon, I'm broke until I get my half of the money back. See if you still have any money." He checked and found that he did. "Looks like I need to withdraw a large sum before my wife gets to my account." Gordon managed to withdraw $10,000 before his account was frozen. "Gordon, I believe we both need lawyers. Right now, I want to get drunk." "I agree." Gordon and Nora got drunk and passed out on the bed, fully clothed. They went downstairs in their rumpled clothes to have breakfast. "Nora, do you have a place to stay?" I'll call Candace and see how things are going. I'll probably need a place to stay, too. I hope she doesn't say she never wants to see me again. Good luck. I'll ask my daughter if I can stay with her. Right now, I need to go to Walmart and buy some clothes and toiletries. How are you going to pay for them? I forgot. Gordon, can I borrow some money? Sure. Gordon drove her to the church where she had left her car. The car was gone. Nick had a spare key and could have just driven away. Now Gordon had to drive her to Walmart and wait while she shopped. He told Nora that Candace had allowed him to return home, at least for a while, to gather a few things. Nora called her daughter. Teresa, it's Mom. Mom, how could he? I believed Dad loved me. He may have ruined my marriage. Johnny won't talk to me. What should I do? I don't know. All I know is that I need a place to stay. Can I stay with you for a while? Why don't you go home, or did your dad kick you out? No, he burned down our house. What? Yes, he burned down our house. He'll probably be arrested for arson. Your dad burned down your house? He must have been really angry to do that. That's an understatement. I think you can stay, but if Johnny calls and wants to come back, you'll have to leave. Okay, I'll be right over. Oh, can't you pick me up? Court. The fire inspector pressed charges against Nick. Nick pleaded not guilty and was sent to trial. In the meantime, he remained in jail, unable to post bail. Nora and her lawyer used this time to try to find out where the money he had taken was. She decided that he must have cashed it and hidden it somewhere he refused to reveal. Nora waited until the trial was over to file for divorce on the advice of her lawyer. He said that a guilty verdict would be useful for a favorable division of property. The prosecutor called in an arson expert to confirm that the fire was intentional. Nick's lawyer didn't ask him any questions. The prosecutor then called Nora to testify about what might have motivated Nick to set fire to their home. She said they had argued about wedding preparations, and then he didn't show up to walk their daughter down the aisle. This time, Nick's lawyer asked questions. Miss Dexter, you know that perjury is a crime? Objection. It concerns the credibility of the witness. Overruled, but be careful. Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mrs. Dexter, why did you lie about your daughter being Mr. Dexter's daughter? She is his daughter. His name is on her birth certificate. He raised her all her life with me. Is the name of her biological father on her birth certificate? Silence. No. There was a murmur in the courtroom. Matt, whose name should be listed as the father on the birth certificate? Gordon Black. How long have you and Mr. Black been having an affair with your husband? Our entire marriage. The judge interrupted him. Mr. Conlon, do you realize that you are establishing a motive for your client? Yes, Your Honor. My client would rather expose his wife's infidelity than evade responsibility for his actions. In that case, I find Mr. Dexter guilty of arson. After a short recess, I will hear sentencing recommendations. After the recess, the prosecutor stated that the facts were not in dispute. Mr. Dexter had deliberately set fire to the house where he lived with his wife and, until recently, his daughter. Almost all of Mrs. Dexter's belongings and some of Miss Dexter's belongings were destroyed. Since insurance does not cover arson, the only satisfaction she can get is to send her husband to prison for the maximum term provided by law. She will sue him for divorce and compensation for everything she has lost. Nick's lawyer spoke. Did my client burn down his house? Yes. However, the key word here is his. The house was not in his wife's name. All of his wife's and daughter's belongings are in plastic bags in the storage room, the key to which I am now handing over to her lawyer. Your Honor, we ask you to consider how any man would react upon learning that his wife had been having an affair with another man before and during their 22-year marriage. As a result of this illicit relationship, a girl was born, whom the wife and daughter deliberately passed off as his daughter. Their divorce and accompanying lawsuits will decide the fair division of property, but since Mrs. Dexter has not suffered any significant loss of property, we ask that Mr. Dexter be given the minimum sentence. The judge agreed. Nick received 3 years, and the remainder of his sentence was suspended. As he left, Nick said to Nora, "See you in divorce court." Divorce. Nick looked good when he arrived at the divorce hearing. He had been working out, which helped him lose weight and tone up. Nora looked terrible. Gordon reached an agreement with his wife that they would stay together. It seemed that Gordon's wife had also been unfaithful. They agreed to forgive each other one last time, but from now on, Candace would control all the money. He returned home. Nora was experiencing financial and social difficulties. The divorce was a chance for her to start her life over. The money Nick owed her would give her the opportunity to rebuild her life, perhaps in another city. "Your Honor, Mrs. Dexter is asking for half of all the assets that were in their accounts, as listed 6 months ago. She is demanding half of the amount Mr. Dexter will receive from the sale of the land on which their house stood. In addition, she wants alimony of $2,000 a month for 5 years. Mr. Stevens? My client was deceived by his wife and her lover for over 20 years. My client was convinced that the child his wife gave birth to was his. He loved that child and was a wonderful father for over 18 years. Only once, the day before the wedding, did he accidentally overhear a conversation between his wife and daughter and learn that his wife had been cheating on him throughout their marriage. We have a recording that we can play." Objection. Neither my client nor her daughter gave permission for the recording. This is not a criminal court. The rules are more lenient in family court. I want to hear the recording. Yes, Your Honor. Recording. Mom, you know what would be cool at the wedding? Honey, we've already gone over budget. It won't cost anything. Okay, what would be cool? If both my fathers walked me down the aisle, Gordon and Nick. She giggled. Are you out of your mind? I've spent 20 years making sure Nick never found out. Even poor, trusting, unsuspecting Nick would figure it out if you did that. No, it's too risky. If you're willing to risk sleeping with Gordon for over 20 years, why not just leave your dad for Gordon? Because your dad is a wonderful husband and father. He's the man I want to come home to every day. Gordon is a holiday man who comes around from time to have sex with me. It's simple. I love Nick for marriage and Gordon for sex. That doesn't mean your father is bad in bed, but Gordon is great. I've always wanted both. I don't know who I would choose if I had to. I wish I could tell my friends that Gordon is my real father. They all thought Nick was a bore. The tape stopped. The judge ruled that the wife would receive half of the property but reduced alimony to $1,000 a month for only 3 years. Nick agreed. He had just received $250,000 from Gordon as compensation for all 3 lawsuits filed against him. With that money, he bought an apartment near his work. A few months later. Dad! I'm sorry, Teresa, Gordon isn't here. Dad, you know you're the only real father I've ever had. Gordon was just my mother's sex toy. How long have you known that I'm not your father? Since the trial, like everyone else. Didn't your mother tell you about the divorce hearing? Yes, she got half the property and alimony. Did she tell you about the recording? What recording? The one I made a week before the wedding, when you asked Gordon and me to walk you down the aisle. Oh, shit. Whatever I said, I didn't mean it. I was just joking with Mom. Gordon means nothing to me. Well, you just admitted that you lied to me. You've known about Gordon for a long time and never told me. Mom would have killed me if I had. You can't blame me for that. I can. Fortunately, you're a grown man now. I'm not responsible for what you do from now on, father or not. You're still going to pay for my college education, right? You promised. I'm sorry, you lie to me. I lie to you. Dad, don't hang up. Dad, at the coffee shop. Mind if I sit next to you, Nick? Number. Are you here by chance or on purpose? On purpose. I wanted to talk to you when we both calmed down. Well, Nora, do you believe I've calmed down? I hope so. I wanted a chance to tell you that I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. The sex with Gordon was good, but it wasn't worth our marriage. We lived a lie for so long that I stopped appreciating you. What I miss most about our marriage is our friendship. I miss talking to you, especially when we were cuddling on the couch. You were my best friend. In addition to being my husband, I appreciated both. Nick, is there any chance we can be just friends again? You still mean a lot to me. I'm surprised. No requests for money? No request to forgive our daughter? Nothing. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but no. It's hard to live with someone for over 20 years and just walk away. Despite our divorce, I never stopped caring about you. If you want, we can meet at Starbucks or some other neutral place if you're willing to see me. Maybe. The hurt isn't as strong as it was when I first found out. It may surprise you, but I miss our conversations too. You're a smart woman with good ideas. I think we could at least give it a try. We can always stop if we want to. Tuesday evening works for me. Besides talking, I'll never get tired of reminding you how useless you thought I was in bed. Nick smiled. You know very well that I loved you and enjoyed our sex life. Let's not go there. When we meet, it shouldn't be a topic of conversation. Tuesday works for me, too. The Tuesday evening meetings went well for several months. Despite how their marriage had ended, they had many pleasant memories that evoked warm feelings, even if they were past experiences. Nick suggested going to her place to talk, away from prying ears. Nora agreed because she wanted to snuggle up to him while they talked and drank something other than expensive coffee. For both of them, it felt like old times. Nora began to feel safe enough to bring up the topic that she hoped would prompt him to ask her to move back in with him. Nick, do you like these weekly conversations and reminiscing? Yes, I do. I'm glad you suggested it. You know what else would be interesting? What? Nora felt it was time to take a risk. There's something else I'm missing. After we talked when we were married, we would usually go upstairs, take off all our clothes, and enjoy each other. Can we do that tonight? Please, Dot. Nick thought about the proposal for a moment. He smiled and said, Nora, go upstairs, make the bed, and get yourself ready. I'll get us something to drink, and then I'll be right up. Yes, dear. She ran upstairs. Nora was almost ecstatic. Her plan to gradually win Nick back was working. Once she convinced him that he could satisfy her sexually, they would be together again. She waited and waited. Something was wrong. She put on her robe and went downstairs. Nick? Where are you, dear? There was no answer. Nora saw something on the kitchen table. It was a note. Unexpected delay. Don't wait for me. Go entertain yourself.